This is a Fox News alert. No grapevine right now. We have breaking news on the budget standoff. The New York Times is reporting President Obama has already rejected the new Republican offer of an extension on the debt ceiling increase. But Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry is live on the North Lawn. Ed, what do we know about all this?
Brett, I'm hearing that this report is premature. What people close to the president are saying is that this offer from Speaker Boehner was not rejected out of hand by the president. The sort of initial offer the president pushed back on because, as we reported earlier this hour, he doesn't want just an extension of the debt ceiling. The president has made clear, his aides, as well as Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid today, after a meeting with the president, made clear they want both an increase of the debt ceiling as well as reopening the government. So the way it's being cast by the White House is that this New York Times report about a flat-out rejection is not true. Instead, what's going on is that the president pushed back on that initial offer, suggested Republicans go back, maybe rework this, and in fact, from Chad Pergram and others on Capitol Hill, suggesting that the House Majority Leader Cantor said that they actually made a little bit of progress at this meeting and that they're going to have their staffs, both the House Republican staff and the White House staff, have more conversations tonight, suggests that maybe this report is a little bit out there and that they didn't come to a deal, but they're making a little bit of progress.
Right. In fact, as you were talking, Republican Representative Pete Sessions has said that both of the staffs, the Republican leadership staff and as the White House staff, working on going forward to the deal. This is what's called negotiating.
That's right. And in fact, our Mike Emanuel, our chief congressional correspondent, is telling us just now that what he's hearing is, rather than the typical readout we get where the White House after a meeting like this says, here's what we think happened, and then Speaker Boehner says, here's what I think happened, Mike Emanuel is getting some suggestion that perhaps there'll be a joint statement by the White House and the Republican leadership. We'll see if that actually happens. But they're trying to work out some sort of a joint statement. If that were to happen, that would suggest, again, maybe there's not a deal, but maybe they're making progress and trying to say, look, we're not as far apart as we were 24 hours ago, Brett.
But let's be clear, Speaker Boehner still has to get whatever develops out of these talks through his chamber, through the House.
Right, and that's going to be difficult because you have different factions on the House Republican side. Some who are saying it would be a capitulation to the president to have any sort of an extension of the debt ceiling, even just 6 weeks, if you don't get some spending cuts or some changes to the health care law or something like that. You have others in the House Republican Conference who told us today, look, I can accept giving the president an extension of the debt ceiling, but if he wants to reopen the government, you've got to have changes to the health care law. You've got to have other conditions. So there are other Republicans, obviously, who just want to see the government reopened and want to see the debt ceiling extended because they want to get past this fight and move on to other things. So you've got different camps. And we should also point out, in fairness, there are different Democratic camps. There are people like Joe Manchin, the more conservative Democrat in the Senate from West Virginia, who's saying, why is the president not negotiating over reopening the government? He should not have conditions here and just, get the government reopened, extend the debt ceiling, but do that as part of a broader negotiation to actually cut more spending, maybe have tax reform. And so there's different camps in both parties, certainly bigger splits, though, it seems, on the Republican side, where there's some confusion about what is their next step here. Are they in a box? How are they going to get out of it, Brett?
Okay, last thing. We saw the market soar today. Huge uptick in the Dow because of, a lot of people thought, the debt ceiling increase was going to come to a fruition here. As this is kind of hanging, obviously everyone is watching it. Is it possible that the administration could back off this demand that both are opened at the same time in the hopes of moving forward?
Yes, because Jay Carney did indicate at his briefing today that it's possible they'll do one without the other, the debt ceiling being the most important piece, and you put your finger on it. This president, more than anything, wants to take the possibility of default off the table because they think the government being closed is a bad option, but the worst of the bad options is going into default. And you have people like Speaker Boehner, other key Republicans suggesting they get that. They think this would be bad. A lot of folks in Wall Street saying that. So look, you're right. The markets were up today. If there's some sort of a joint statement a little while between the White House and House Republicans that says we're starting to inch towards some progress, and then remember, the president has a meeting with Senate Republicans, and if there's any progress from that, you can see the markets doing pretty well again tomorrow. On the other hand, if we don't get a statement from anyone tonight expressing hope, and the Senate Republican meeting goes bad, the markets have now baked in the idea that they're close to a deal. Yeah. If there's not a deal tomorrow, that could be a problem, obviously.
All right, Ed Henry, and live on the North Lawn. Ed, thank you. We'll head back if we learn any more.